don't know how to tell you this, but we made the Quake Bleed Rupture Barbarian even better than before with 2 tiny tweaks to the equipment. And I'm absolutely ashamed to say these changes were so obvious I should have seen them before. Watch this 101 clear where we do more damage than ever and also explain exactly how to actually play the build in any situation, and the boss fight will be faster than ever. Everything begins with a leap into instant stun. Yell, schnizzle schnazzle with a rend, leap, stun, then instantly rupture them, yell, rend, everyone is gonna die. Keep leaping on. Schnizzle schnazzle, rupture, boom, blood explosion. Jump to these to destroy the damage reducers. Leap onto the next guy, stomp him, yell at them, rupture them again. There's the dude, leap in, more earthquakes, damage reduction, bonus damage, go on. Leap another time, just schnazzle them, they're gonna die. Leap into the next pawn, stomp. Do 2-3 rend hits to get everyone bled. Yell, jump again, stun him. Into the rupture. Rupture, always your blood explosion move, who's essentially going to overload everyone in the vicinity with bleeding so they die faster. And if you're standing in a bunch of elites, don't worry. You can just always multiple ruptures in a row because you'll cooldown reduction like crazy. Might want to keep your unstoppable cry ready for when you jump into a bunch of people who could potentially stun you. On the other hand, right, you're reducing cooldowns so much, you just essentially run in, rupture, and you might notice how my leap is really never on cooldown. It's like, as long as I'm able to, step number 1, jump from pack to pack, yes, that too, but not only the pack to pack jumping, we reduce the cooldown to be almost 7 seconds. They're all gonna die now. Don't even worry about killing them more. We could bleed these, so have them die. Like, even if we miss, we have a maximum of 4-second cooldown, right? Even if we just leap into the empty air. Don't forget to truly, like, stomp on landing to essentially get the instant stun, because else you land and everyone could hit you. We don't want that. We want land, stun, and then essentially pull the blood out of them for the overpowered blood explosion. And with this, we can rupture even more on top of our rends. Don't forget, rupture is also bonus attack speed. Stomp, right? Rupture, and rupture's enough. Rupture just brings them all down to 1 HP essentially. Stun them. Oh, keep leaping because you need to kill the damage reducer, right? Stun them all and rupture, and they're all gonna die. Simple as cake, right? They're all now fully bled, so you don't really have to care for them anymore. You're already moving to the next pack that you then bleed. And no, they don't reset in that time because your bleed is so many millions of damage. They just do so much, you know, it overloads them so hard they die in a sweet manner of time. Later in the higher pits, you might have to, like, you know, just make sure they actually die so there's not some weird ass reset happening. Now, yell because you got slowed down and we don't want to get slowed down. And I think killing these should be enough to quickly get us to the boss. Yep, quickly to the boss. And for the boss, keep in mind, if there's a golden border around the rupture, we use it. So now, leap, 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 hold down your 2 button and essentially keep leaping. Yell, leap, then pull the soul out of him, leap, and we get 10 quakes, 11 quake stack, 12 quake stack, 13 quakes, 14 quakes. My damage is times 140%, okay? We're just schnizzle schnazzling every single earth spike is going into his booty. Every earth spike is doing damage. 13, 120 multiplicative damage. Yell, more leaps. More leaps. Hold your 2 button down. Boom, absolutely destroyed. Even more DPS than ever before. Now to the skills that changed. First, the 2 points in Flame, but we're not using the basic skill. We do the Rend. 5 points in and then into Violent Rend for the 25% vulnerable damage. And there is already a change here. We can still have the Ground Stomp together with the Tactical Ground Stomp for the bonus Fury, but the 3 points in Martial Vigor are out because we don't need the bonus damage reduction versus elites. It works perfectly without. Tested some few runs and I didn't feel like I was dying faster. Many points in Imposing Presence though for the maximum life multiplier. Then 1 point in Rallying Cry, followed up by Strategic Rallying Cry for the Fortify. No further points anywhere else, and here gets a little bit tricky and why the Harlequin Crest helps. I am using Warcry, but I have 0 points in it, so if I would like to now have a point into Warcry because of no Harlequin Crest, I either have to yoink it out of Battle Fervor, or we have to take it out of Prolific Fury. Prolific Fury is usually where I get it out of, because right now now we have 13 ranks into Leap, and that cooldown reduction brings Leap exactly to infinity. I can reduce it by 9 seconds when I'm attacking a boss, which means I can always use Leap. And Leap does give me 40 Fury, therefore solving any Fury issue. Now, if you do though have the Harlequin Crest, you can save yourself that 1 point, which is fantastic. And these 13 points in Leap are almost mandatory at the moment to really stack up the Leap Quakes 20 times for 200% damage multiplier versus the boss. You saw it in the fight, it was faster than ever. Still rocking the Rupture here with a Warrior's Rupture having an Enhanced Rupture Super Slap, and then 3 points into Cut to the Bone with the 3 points in Counter Offensive, Heavy Handed, and last but not least, Gushing Wounds. Nothing changed down here, but what changed is our gear. And not only the gear, also the aspects. And predominantly, it's the new boots. We lost Fury per second, which is a bit sad, and the strength should actually be fire resistance, but I don't have Angel Breath to reroll right now. Important is the 4 ranks to Leap, and even more important is the Leap cooldown reduction. The more Leap ranks and cooldown reduction you actually have, the more points you can take out of the Leap, because we have to reach the exact 9 seconds. Now I simply put the maximum in to make my point clear here, but as you can see, I can actually yoink 1 point out to be at 882 seconds, and that 1 point can actually go back into the raid leader or even into the war cry. So look at your exact Leap cooldown, that it's close as possible to 9 seconds as you can get. The second tempering would be the lucky hit chance to slow, stun, or freeze. Fantastic for bonus staggering. And then we're playing Dazed. Yes, we have a 20% chance to daze our opponents. That means they can't attack. And as our Leap does actually have a 73% lucky hit chance. What happens is that you jump in, and with a 35% chance, you might daze everyone around you. They can't attack. Then you stun them with a stomp, which also has a good lucky hit chance. And you're saving yourself tons of damage they could deal to you. It's insane. And if they actually get dazed, they take 20% bonus damage. Fantastic. And the boss gets staggered, 20% bonus damage. The weapons are running Earthquake Duration, and now with the Leap being off cooldown, you can essentially stack more than ever for the super 200% multiplier, with the crit damage, max life and strength, and then the crit damage tempered. That is needed for the ultra version. For the base version, damage while berserking would be enough as a temper. As an aspect, we're running Wanton Rupture, and that is for the super bleed pullout with Rupture every 13 seconds without depleting the actual bleed. Second most important aspect is Berserk Ripping. Berserk Ripping deals bonus bleed to the enemy as long as you're berserking, which you're doing with continuous leaping. Earthquake Duration, damage while berserking temper, and critical strike damage. This should be a sword. It's sadly a club. I don't have swords. Second club, also Earthquake Duration, and as you masterwork this up, try to actually hit the Earthquake Duration, because the longer the earthquakes are, the better it is, plus the critical strike damage. Second weapon would be the Grandfather. This can be replaced by a normal sword, but don't worry, the link in the description below has the non-Uber version for the people that just simply don't have it. That being said, I started this version without Grandfather, and I was still clearing the 101s very nice and quick. This one allows your critical strike damage to go from 1,800% up to 3,000%, which is quite crazy. Now the ring is running the super cooldown reduction for Leap, Giant Strides. 9 seconds down, hitting a boss with Leap provides the maximum cooldown reduction 9 seconds down. You want this. This is so important. The best part is it could be the lowest low roll on the aspect and would still be 9 seconds versus bosses. Damage to close enemies I get on, critical strike damage or berserking would be better. Resource generation or resource cost reduction. And then critical strike chance, attack speed, and strength. Attack speed very important in critical strike chance, as we're trying to get gushing wounds to crit as often as possible. Crit chance should be around 60, preferable 70%. Ring of Starless Skies helps there, giving you bonus crit chance and then a 50% damage multiplier. That thing is so insane. Reduces your fury cost, everything. It's almost mandatory, but there is an alternative to it with the right tempering, as listed in the written guide. Now the amulet is running Bulkathis. Bulkathis gives you 38% damage reduction if you're standing in an earthquake. As you leap, you're always standing in an earthquake. As you stomp, you're always standing in an earthquake. The earthquakes do damage. They do bonus damage into the Berserk Ripping, as the Berserk Ripping does more bleed. Then we have a chance to make things vulnerable. Yes, you need some source of vulnerable, and this is the perfect one. Crit chance and attack speed. The attack speed here could be ranks to Cut to the Bone, so we get even more bleeding damage. And you definitely want to temper Imposing Presence, or more life multiplicatively. Your pants are running cold resistance, armored maximum life. The cold resistance is needed as the bonus resistance on your boots that you can then dip and dash out with whatever you need for resistances in your rings to be 70, 70, 70, 70 on everything. It's a bit tricky with Barbarian. Imposing Presence Temper is what you want, plus the lucky hit chance to freeze, immobilize, or stun for bonus stagger, and then Undying to heal you on every single rend, leap, yell, rupture, stomp, whatever you're doing, you heal. The gloves, very important. Attack speed and crit chance. Crit chance, greater affix will be better. 5 core skills, could be 4 ranks in rend, up to 8 ranks in rend actually. Damage while berserking, if you don't have critical strike chance temper, and then the chance to slow, stun, or freeze. Plus, ground stomp does also spikes that go into berserk ripping. And then the ground stomp gives you, with the earthquake, 25% bonus damage multiplicative. So we're getting 25% damage multiplicative from one earthquake, plus 10% more multiplicative from every other earthquake. This goes into the Rage of Harrogith for the super cooldown reduction. As we rupture, rupture is always an overpower. That overpower will, with gushing wounds, then send out waves of blood, and everyone is bleeding. Damage reduction from everyone bleeding, plus super cooldown reduction to do everything again. And lastly, the Harlequin Crest for the 4 bonus ranks on everything, better leaps, better cries, better ruptures, better rents. Simple as cake. It's just too good to not have. And the Paragon board had to be overhauled because I was still using ambidextrous from my old build with a bonus damage with one-handed weapons. Stupid of me. First board, we're actually playing vulnerable damage with exploit. Vulnerable damage, giga important. And take all the bonus maximum life you can get because compounding interest, multiplying up nicely. That's why we're also going into the Bonebreaker board for tenacity with another 8% max life bonus. The glyph we're rocking is Wrath for the critical strike chance. Skills that crit generate 3 fury is not really needed. It's all about bonus critical strike damage. Get the maximum out of there. And at the next board, we're finally playing Might. Might is currently level 1 for me. You want this to be obviously level 21 because then it's multiplying up the vulnerable damage and the damage reduction from vulnerable enemies. Might also gives you 8% bonus damage with two-handed weapons, and the run was actually done with ambidextrous still because I noticed it afterwards. The board is Decimator for the bonus damage multiplier on making enemies vulnerable and overpowering a vulnerable enemy, which we also do. Even more vulnerable damage here taken, and all the vulnerable damage is taken that later in the Hemorrhage board, we're actually getting the biggest multiplier here with our bleeding damage. That's why you actually stack vulnerable. Now into the Carnage board though for the bonus attack speed, and here we take damage while berserking, and you understand that with the next Paragon board. Also, it's the Martial glyph for our shouts, reducing some cooldowns if we want the stomp faster up again, and boosting the damage reduction from close and the damage while berserking, which then goes into the Blood Rage board where we get a multiplier for as much damage as berserking. We have up to 30% multiplier. Easy as cake. Then we get the 316% bonus earthquake damage, yep, with a 10% multiplier for every earthquake we stand in with a rumble glyph. By the way, if you're lacking fire resistance down here, you could technically yoink out all these points and some of these berserking points to move all the way into fire resistance, especially if you have the damage while berserking tempers instead of crit chance. Last board with the flawless technique with the Ire glyph for the bonus damage while berserking, that we essentially get this one maxed out, and a bonus 10% damage reduction from elites, and that's why we don't want to actually have it in the skill board because we have it in the Paragon board. And even more damage reduction from close enemies. You can never have enough damage reduction from close enemies. Ladies and gentlemen, go out there and bleed them to death, get them stabbed. Are you rather the Whirlwind player or still wanting to level up Barb? Because then you can actually try out the double swing Dust Devil Madness. That really flew me from 1 to 100 and was so incredible fun to play. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic good rest of your day.